Hello, and welcome to the Business Academy. Today we're going to explore some helpful tips to help improve efficiency while working within business. Now there's a lot of great functionality within business, but today I'm going to demonstrate some tools that can help increase your experience and productivity with things like navigation, organization, and productivity while working within business. So with that, I'd like to start off by talking about the screen we have in front of us. This is called the dashboard. Now, there are two views of the dashboard. There's the Recents view, which we have right in front of us now, and there's the Custom, which is in blue font next to the Recents. Now, each dashboard view contains functionality that is different from each other, but this dashboard view that we have in front of us, called the Recents, displays things that we viewed recently according to the entities displayed up top, such as contacts, vendors, projects, sales orders, tasks, and much more. Now, each will display the most recent 5 that you viewed according to the entities. So my recent 5 opportunities, my recent 5 purchase orders, and so on and so forth. Now, within the recents, there are several tools such as pinning. So you can see a little pin icon to the left of some of my options up here. And that means that I've pinned them so that when I keep viewing pages, they always stay at the top. If I unpin something, then that means it'll go through the cycle. And once I view something more recently, things will start to cycle through and this will get lost in my recents. But if it's something that I work with a lot and I always want to see that in my recents, I can simply pin it and it will stay on my recents, and the next ones that aren't pinned will continue through the cycle and appear on or off depending on what I view. Now within each recents, there's also a settings, so you can customize what is seen on the recents, and that is located with the little window option that we have here. And here we can manage our recents by clicking on that window icon, and here we can subtract things that we don't want to view. And with certain things like customers and vendors, we have a little number icon, and this will allow us to either hide or show our customer vendor numbers. Now, if we don't want to see our customer vendor numbers, we can toggle that off, and now it's in black. If we want that to be viewed, we'll simply click it again, and now it's in blue, meaning that we can see it on our recents. Now, what I'll do is I'll toggle this off, and I'll keep vendors on so you can see the differences between those two. Now we can also rearrange by dragging and dropping, and you'll note the dotted line appears, and that gives us a preview of where this will be dropped in orientation of our columns. Now by deleting these columns will go in the middle, and they can easily be added again by clicking on the arrow to make it go to the left or to the right. Now by closing out, we can view our changes in our recents. So now you'll see that the vendor has the vendor number attached to the left, but our customers, now the number is gone. Now if you might notice that as I'm hovering, we have some options that appear over things like sales orders, customers, and tasks. And these are quick options to do certain functions within these entities. So for instance, with tasks, I have a view log. So I can see who viewed this task recently. And I also have a share button. And this will allow me to copy and paste this URL into an email or a message and easily share the task to and from users. With things like customers, I have a lot more functionality. So I not only have the view log and the share, but I can also quickly add a customer by clicking the hover plus. And this will allow me to add a task for the customer, add a project for the customer, add a sales order, an opportunity, and even accounting features like a sales receipt, an invoice, or a payment, all related to this customer. By clicking the breadcrumbs or these 3 little dots, this will allow me to go to certain aspects of the customer's dashboard. So for instance, if I want to see the locations, I can hover over info and click on locations. And this will open in another tab so I can view all that company's locations. Now that works with anything else underneath that breadcrumb. So for instance, if I wanted to see their AR transactions, and they'll always open a new tab so you don't lose the progress that you have in your recents. And all that hover functionality is available for every single thing within the recents and really makes it easy to add certain things or share certain things within business. Now on the right of the recents is an up next, and this shows things that are upcoming for your schedule. So for instance, I have my upcoming appointments, and for milestones, I have these upcoming, and I have my upcoming tasks. Now you may be asking, why are certain things in red font and why are certain things in black font? Well, there are differences in font. Note that whether it's past due or not. So for instance, if I load more on tasks, we can see all these tasks are still upcoming, so they haven't passed due. Whereas the ones in red, you can see the dates here, 8/2, 7/20. These are things that are past due. And the red notes that these are things that need attention. And same goes for the milestones. Now, other than the recents, we do have the custom dashboard. And you'll notice that when I switch to the custom dashboard, you'll notice a little bit more discrepancies and a bit more different functionality. But before I get into the custom, I do want to address the load more because it's not only in the up next, but it's also available for anything that you see on the left here. So if you want to see more vendors than the top 5, you can click load more and it'll load the next 5 that you viewed recently. And same goes for contacts and anything that you see in the recents. So now if I go to the custom dashboard, you'll see a difference almost immediately in the views. So now I can see my custom dashboard, and this is the dashboard that I've configured myself. Now, when you first are greeted with the dashboard, it's going to look a lot different. It's going to tell you to manage your widgets, and these are the widgets that you can choose from. And I got to this by clicking on the window icon on the right. Now, each widget you can add from these available columns, and you can add one widget multiple times on either the left or the right side. And you can do so with these little arrows to add things. So for instance, if I want 2 task widgets, I can easily add another task on the right, and you'll see it appear over here, and I already have one up top. So you can add multiple widgets at a time, and I'll show you why you might want a functionality like that on your custom dashboard. So if I close out, I'll be greeted with my custom dashboard again, and my changes will take effect as you see it refresh. And as I scroll down, you'll see I have a new task window here in my recents. Now, another thing that you may notice right off the bat are the colors of the titles. And those are things that are customizable in the custom dashboard as well. And you can customize your dashboard not only in the appearance, but also what you show in these widgets. So for instance, if I go to my tasks up here and I click this little gear icon, these are the settings for the widget. So if I click that, I can filter down for exactly what kind of tasks I want to see on this particular widget. So if I click the filtered by, I can filter by tasks that are assigned to me, which would be my tasks. I can filter for tasks that are assigned to a certain pool, and I can also filter for tasks that are assigned to a certain team. And I can do this by clicking the entity. So if I click team, and then I can choose what team I'm going to search for. And this functionality is also available in pools. So if I choose pool, my assigned to comes over here, and now I can choose a pool. I can also choose what I'm sorting by for this particular widget. So if I want to sort by the end date, I can choose that. And I can choose anything here from priority, start date, or created date as well. You can also name your widget. So if this is the customer advocate tasks, I can name that widget to show on a more granular level what these tasks are related to. And here's where I can change my widget color. And I can choose anything from these options here. And by clicking save, we'll be able to see our changes in that particular widget. So now you'll see that because I chose that particular pool, we have no tasks assigned to that pool right now. And you'll see my color of the widget has changed. Now, if I have two tasks and I want to show not only my customer advocate tasks, but I also want to see other tasks, I can choose this gear as well. And I want to show my tasks in this widget. I can sort by anything here. So I'll sort by start date. And I'll name this tasks assigned to me. And then I can change my widget color and click save. Now, all that functionality is available for everything you see in the custom dashboard, so you can filter for exactly what you want to find and report on with your custom dashboard. Now, it's important to note that everybody's custom dashboard is different, and that can be configured on every user's dashboard. Now, every widget also has certain functionality on the right. So for instance, for orders, you may see this little message bubble and a couple lines with a plus. Now this will be, the bottom one is a new task. So you can add a new task associated with this order right from here. And if I click on that, it's going to open in a new tab. And you'll note that because I'm adding it for that particular sales order, my customers are already associated, and so is my order. So this task is going to be already automatically associated with this order. And if I click enter, you'll note that it already brings over the customer location, the order number, and everything's already set up and good to go. All I'll need to do is adjust my start and due dates right in my description. But other than that, all this manual entry is already configured by using the custom dashboard. So that's a really neat way to increase productivity in terms of adding a task for an order as just an example. Now, all that's available here. So if you want to add a task for projects, you can do the same workflow. And same with opportunities, you can add a new task. And just like the orders, it's going to pull over the customer information that's related to either the opportunity or the project. Now, the message bubble will allow you to message whoever's assigned to the opportunity. So here you'll see that the customer is already pre-selected. And I can just click recipients, and you'll see the contact is up top, and in the brackets, it notes the customer. Anything below that are internal users for our company. But if I choose the customer or the vendor contact, I can choose to add my body and any attachments and send a message really easily right from the custom dashboard. Now, another neat functionality are with the accounts. Now, accounts are things like customers or vendors. And because they're customers or vendors, on the far right, you'll see a little teardrop. And this is a map function. So this will actually map their location for us. And if I click on that teardrop, Google Maps will open in a brand new tab, and I can see exactly where this is located. So if I need to send a technician to this site, or if I myself need to drive here, I can quickly map it right from my custom dashboard and see exactly where I'm going. Now, the next thing I'd like to show is on this screen as well, and it's called the navigation bar. And you can see that with the little compass, and it has a message, what would you like to do? Now, the navigation is a tool that you can utilize to search within business to find certain things. Now, a helpful tip to note is that there are two types of searches within the navigator that will populate separate results. These results are called filtered and unfiltered searches. So to demonstrate this, I'll type in something as simple as order 1. Now you'll see that when I choose order 1 in my search, I have 2 drop downs. And these will simulate a filtered and unfiltered search. So first I'll do the unfiltered search, and that will be search order 1. Now what this means is if I click that, it's going to search the system for anything with the name order and anything with the number 1. So here you'll see that the first thing that populates are purchase orders, customer order management, purchase orders, and my order 1 is all the way down here, mixed within all these things. Now the other type of search is a filtered search. So if I click that and choose the bottom option, search 1 within order, it's going to search within sales orders for the number 1. So if I choose that bottom option, you'll note that order is highlighted in green now, and now it's searching for any sales orders with the number 1. So you'll see that my top result is my order number 1, my bottom result is order 1A, and then anything after that will search for a sales order with the number 1 attached to it somewhere. So for instance, we have order number 11, order number 12, order number 6. We have a lot of ones such as the target date, the order total. So it's matching anything with the number 1 as related to the order. So that is a neat function within the navigator as well. And that works for things like customers. You'll note that there's a filtered and an unfiltered search. That also works for things like contacts, tasks, projects. A lot of things have a filtered and unfiltered search to make your searching needs very easy within business. Now also along the top is a quick add function, and this can be noted with the plus sign. So this is a create button, and if I click on that, I have a lot of options in my dropdown. Now these will allow me to quickly add anything that we see here as available options. So for instance, if I want to quickly add a sales order, I can click sales order from the dropdown, and this is going to populate a brand new add sales order screen. And here I can fill in my customer information and all my items and quickly create an order with 2 clicks. Now that works with anything. So if you want to do an employee, we can quickly add an employee. And here I can fill out all my necessary information. And that works for things like vendors as well. And checks, I can quickly add a check. So anything within this plus icon will bring you right to the screen you want to find and really increases your efficiency within business. Now next to the plus, we have a notifications bell, and you may notice a number 2 is up top. Now this means that I have 2 things that I haven't viewed yet in terms of notifications. So if I click on the bell, you'll see that I have 2 messages. So if I click on the messages, I can see all the messages that are available to me, and I can easily read them. I can reply using this blue arrow to the left, so that would bring up a new message for me to reply. The second one will allow me to forward, so I can forward this message to somebody else. I can choose my recipients. And I also have an archive, and this is going to archive the message so it's hidden from my view of recently viewed messages. Now if I archived it, I can include archived messages as well by choosing this little box, and here's that archived message. And I can easily unarchive it again by choosing that little bucket, and it'll add it right to my available messages again. Now the other thing about the notifications bell is you can also view buzz very easily. So if in your business system you're sharing a lot of information with your company, you can easily get to buzz within that notifications bell by choosing the bell and buzz. And the third thing underneath there are system notifications. So if I choose the system icon, I can view any information that is available that business is trying to notify us about. So here you can see we have a release ahead this Saturday, and this gives us a little notification that it's upcoming. And we also have the business webinar notification, and a referral notification. And as I scroll down, I can view more notifications that are available to me, and they will load on demand as I scroll down. Now, another thing up top is the favorites menu. And you may notice that I have a bar that appears here, and I have 4 little icons that say certain page things. And these are favorites. So for instance, I can go to the customers by choosing customer and customers and get there quite easily. But if I'm on another screen, say tasks, I can get there a lot faster by just clicking my favorites, and it'll bring me right to that screen. And you can make any page in business your favorite simply by clicking the star. So you'll notice that because this is a favorite, the star is yellow. However, if I go to a screen that is not one of my favorites, for instance, the time off, you'll note that the star is gray. And if I want this to be a favorite, I can simply check that star. It turns yellow. And then when I refresh, it'll be added to my favorites bar. Now you can easily edit your favorites bar or rearrange your favorites bar as well by clicking the star up here. And this is your favorites menu. And if you want to manage your favorites, you can choose Manage Favorites up here. And this will allow me to drag and drop to rearrange as needed. And I can also click on the name of the favorite itself. And here I can do things like change the icon color. And I can choose to show in the icon bar, which is the favorites bar up here with the icons. And I can also show in my favorites menu, which is the drop down from the star up here. And as you click save, your changes will take effect. And by clicking close, it'll refresh, and you'll note that the color has changed up top, and my favorites have been rearranged as such. Now, apart from navigating to different pages via your favorites, there's another really cool functionality available in almost every single page within business that uses search filters. And to demonstrate this, I'll go to the customer list. So here I'll go to customers and customers, or I can simply click my favorite. So now we're on the customers list. And to demonstrate our next functionality, first, I'll choose this little blue arrow, and that'll expand our search filters. Now what I'm going to demonstrate next are called saved searches. And saved searches will allow us to save any search filters that we view quite regularly in business. So let's just have an example of, I want to show all my customers that have a primary assignment of myself. If I click search, you'll see that I have 3 customers that are primarily assigned to me. And if I always want to view that particular search, I can save it. That way I don't have to use that search filter every time. And to do this, I can click the gray arrow next to the magnifying glass. And here we have Save This Search. And by clicking Save This Search, we can name our search. So I'll name it My Customers. And here we have 2 options. So number 1 is Auto Load Search Results. This means that when I click that Save Search, it's going to automatically load those search results for me. And what that's going to do is, instead of choosing the Save Search and clicking the search button, as soon as I choose the Save Search, it's going to auto load for me. Now the other option is Default. And this means that whenever you view this particular page, this Save Search is going to load by default, and you won't have to click it from the drop-down options. So to demonstrate that, I'll choose this as default and click Save. So now if I go to another page and go back to my customers list, you'll note that my Save Search loads by default, and it auto loads the results so I don't have to click the search button. And Save Searches are available everywhere within business. So you can do this through vendors, you can do this in the customers list, the employees list, the opportunities list. Anywhere that you see these search filters, you can do Save Searches. So for instance, if I go to the transaction screen, I can expand my search filters using this arrow, and right underneath the gray arrow, I have a save search. So that's also a very neat function that you can utilize within business, so that if you're always searching for certain things, and instead of going through the search filters every time, you want to just automatically search for what you want to find, you can save the search and really increase your productivity and your speed in finding certain things. Now we discussed the star up here, which is the favorites, but there are also two icons right next to it that I'd like to go over now. So first up is the question mark. And the question mark is a help content. And if I choose the question mark, it's going to load in another tab. And here I can see it help content related to that particular page. And this is going to help answer some questions that I might have about that particular page that I'm viewing. And that question mark is available in every page in business. And so is the gear icon. And the gear icon is a settings tab. So here, if I click the gear, I can choose settings. And this is going to show me some permissions that affect that particular page. So for instance, if I'm brand new to business and I want to really kind of manage my user roles, and I'm looking at a particular page and I want to see exactly what permissions go into this, I can choose the gear and click settings, and then I can view all the permissions to give me a better idea on how I want to manage my user roles and certain user permissions. Now within this page, if a user doesn't have access, they will see a request access button here in which they can request access to their system administrator. So that's also a neat functionality as well. Now, since I have full access, I will have access to every page, but if you didn't, you would see the request access up top for a certain permission. Now also from the gear icon is make landing page. And when you make something your landing page, it's going to make it the page that you view as soon as you log into business. So for instance, if I make the transactions list my landing page, I can simulate what this looks like by clicking on my logo up top. Now every time you click your logo, it's going to take you to your landing page. So if I click the Business Academy, it loads my transactions. Now if I go back over here to my time off, and I say make this my landing page, I can go back to the transactions and simulate this by clicking on the logo, and now I'm in my time off. So the landing page will automatically load this page as soon as you log in. Now by default, this is your dashboard. And if you want to go back to your dashboard fairly easily, you can click this little icon up here, and this will take you to your dashboard. Now personally, I like this as my landing page, so I'm just going to change this back so that that's my landing page when I log in. And again, I can simulate this by clicking the logo up top in a new tab, and that'll easily take me to my landing page to make sure that it's working correctly. Now, one important feature within business that everybody uses is the calendar. Now, the calendar will show you what's upcoming in terms of appointments. You could search for what other employees have on their calendar, and you can do this very easily by clicking your name up here, and the first option we have is calendar. So if I choose calendar, it'll load my personal calendar that I can view what's upcoming for. Now this has three views. It has the day view, which lists the hours on the left. It has the week view, which lists the hours on the left and the days up top. And the monthly view is a traditional calendar view. Now if I go to my week view, I can do a lot of neat things with the calendar. So for instance, if I want to move an appointment, I can just click it and drag it to where I want to drop it. And by dropping it, it'll move that appointment to the time. And if it's a recurring appointment like this, I can choose to edit only this appointment, and I can also edit future appointments within this occurrence. So for this, I'll just edit only this appointment and click Save. Now, apart from that, you can also extend or shorten your meeting as well. So if I hover over these little dots down here, I can expand my meeting to make it longer, or I can shorten it as well. And simply by unclicking, you can make that change go into effect, and you'll see a pop-up that will allow you to either email the attendees to let them know of the changes you've made, and you can do that by clicking OK. And if you don't want to email them, you can click Cancel, and an email will not be sent out to your attendees. Now you can easily add an appointment as well by hovering over the calendar at any date, and you'll note the gray box will show you where your appointment will land. So here, if I want to add an appointment for tomorrow, I can choose the date and the time. The date will be automatically added as well as the time slot. So by default, this is an hour-long meeting. And here I can add my subject. I can choose my type of meeting. I can choose a location. And I can also add buffer time. Now, buffer time is anything that you want to add before or after the meeting. So let's assume that this meeting is off-site, that I have to travel somewhere. So if I want to dictate that I have to travel, I can add a buffer time for 30 minutes drive to the meeting and 30 minutes drive after the meeting. And this will dictate that I have to leave 30 minutes early and that it takes me 30 minutes to get back. So I'll add buffer time to reflect that. To add attendees, I'll just click on here and start typing, and I can find an attendee to add within my list. And with things like teams, when you click on the team, so for instance, if I choose the division, service and support, it's going to take that division and add anybody that's associated with that division automatically. So that's also a really neat feature within the attendees list. Now you also have organizers, and by default, this is who's making the meeting, but you can change this by clicking on the circle, and now the organizer will change as needed. If you want to add a contact and a customer, you can do so by adding a customer here. And then with the attendees, you can also add a contact. And the contact will be noted with the contact box. Now to save this, we can just choose Save, and we can choose either to email or not to email. Now another thing I'd like to point out are these little boxes here that include private and tentative. Now a private meeting is something that only the meeting attendees, so anybody in this section over here, only these people will be able to see the details of this particular meeting if it's marked private. Everybody else will only just see a gray meeting slot and it will say private. They won't be able to see details. Tentative means that it's something that's not quite scheduled or confirmed yet. So this meeting can be scheduled over because it's not really a confirmed meeting. So this allows for conflicts to be resolved and verification to go on to make sure that this meeting is going to happen and follow up. So when I close out, you might notice that there's now different colors. So for instance, this is a tentative meeting, so it's in yellow, and this means that I can schedule over with a confirmed meeting, and a confirmed meeting is in blue. So you'll see that the confirmed meeting is shared with the tentative meeting. Red is a time off or holiday. The blue, again, is a confirmed meeting. And we've added this with buffer time. And you'll note the buffer time adds the green outline or green border on that particular meeting. And you'll see in parentheses, it adds the buffer time to the entire meeting. You can also search appointments in here. So if I type meeting and click search, I can find anything that relates to the word meeting with all my appointments. And I can even filter for specific dates. By clicking search, we can narrow that down to the exact meeting that we're trying to find. And right from in here, we can click on the meeting name, and this will bring us right into the appointment info. Now, apart from the personal calendar, you can also search. So if I want to search somebody else's calendar to see their availability, I can choose the employee and click search. And now I can see Steve's calendar. And since he's added in a couple meetings that I have, I can see his availability on certain days and what he has going on in terms of appointments. I can also search for locations. So if I want to see if a location is available to schedule a meeting in, I can choose that particular location. I can erase my employees so it doesn't narrow it down further. And by clicking search, I can see the meeting room's availability. So you'll see that there's a meeting in A2 scheduled, and then I can see where I can schedule another appointment for that particular location. We can also choose to show Saturday and Sunday by clicking this box, and those weekend days will be added to the far right. But let's assume that we want to show multiple employees on one calendar to view availability across the board instead of just choosing an employee and clicking search, because this can get a little tedious if you're trying to view more than 2 or 3. It could get a little time constrictive. Well, there's an answer for that. It's called the work calendar. So if I choose my name, we have work calendar here, and this will allow us to do exactly that. With the work calendar, we can add resources, and here you'll see more than 1 or 2 employees. I can have all the way up to as many as I want, and I can view their availability for certain days just by scrolling down and seeing what they have going on for those particular days. Now, it's important to note that work calendars are completely customizable from top to bottom, and we can manage these work calendars by clicking Manage Work Calendars. And here we'll see all of our work calendars that are available. And here I can choose to share a work calendar by clicking this, and this will allow me to select an employee to share that work calendar with, and I can choose as many as needed as well. And just by clicking Save and Close, it'll be automatically shared with those employees. I can also choose the double pages, and this will copy that work calendar. And if I want to delete the work calendar or deactivate, I can choose the trash icon. And if I do so and click OK, this will be hidden from view, but I can always find it again by choosing inactive as the status up here and choosing search. And there's my deactivated work calendar. And I can easily reactivate by clicking the green arrow to reactivate it. So if I go back to active and click search, it's added right back into my work calendars. Now, if I want to edit these work calendars to see exactly what I'm tracking, I can click on the name here, and this will bring me into the work calendar itself to really narrow down what I want to show. Now, each work calendar that we customize will have different views. So the monthly view is a traditional calendar view, and it will list everybody's goings on within the month and have their names attached to certain appointments or tasks or opportunities or orders to let you know exactly who's assigned to those entities. A resource view is a weekly view, and that will list the days on the left and resources or employees on the top. And a day view lists all the hours in the day, and the resources or employees will be listed on the top as well. Now I can also narrow down to customers and vendors to show exactly who's doing what for particular customers and vendors during either a month, a week, or a day. I can also make this my default work calendar so that when I choose work calendar from my dropdown, it loads by default as well. And here are my resources, and this is what I'm tracking on the work calendar itself. So here you'll see the 4 employees that were on my work calendar before, and I can easily add either employee, a team. So if I choose to search team, any team I can add, and I can also choose to search for a division to add an entire division onto my work calendar as well. And over here on the right is what we're tracking on the work calendar. So you'll see here I have holidays, time off, appointments, and tasks that I'm currently searching on my work calendar. Now each of these can be customized as well. So for instance, appointments, I can choose what type of appointment I want to report on my work calendar. And I can also choose the status, whether it's scheduled, done, or canceled. And that goes for anything that you toggle on and off. So time off, I can choose whether it's been pending approval, approved, denied, or canceled, and I can check on and off as needed. Employee shifts and holidays will simply be toggled on or off. And because they're just reporting data, there's no way to filter for things. It's just going to show what holidays and what shifts are assigned to particular employees. But if I choose opportunities or orders or projects, you'll note that each one has multiple different search fields to narrow down for exactly what I want to show on my work calendar. And I can toggle on or off as needed to show exactly what I want to report on. And here, because we've shared the work calendar with 2 other employees, you'll note that they're here as well. And I can share that right from this screen also. Now, if I choose Save and Run, we can view our changes on the work calendar. And here you'll see that we have a lot more people that we're tracking on the work calendar. And we also have added shifts. So here's the shifts that are assigned to these employees. And as I scroll over, I can see all my resources. And as I scroll down, I can view all the days. Now within a resource view or the weekly view of a work calendar, I can choose to show more than 1 week as well. So if I choose show 1 week, I can choose to show 2 weeks. And as I scroll down, I'll be able to see next week's information. I can also choose to show up to 4 weeks. And I can also choose a custom date range. And this will allow me to choose a from date. So if I wanted to see all of July and say up to the 31st. So when you choose date ranges, all you'll need to do is click refresh, and it'll load your work calendar with those date filters. So now you'll see I have July's information. It goes all the way to July 2nd. And if I scroll down, you'll see that the dates just keep going. And if I scroll all the way down, you'll see that they end on August 31st. Now each view looks a little different. So if I choose this, I have 3 work calendars with different views. So here if I choose the red team work calendar, this is a day view. So you'll note that all the hours are on the left and my resources are up top. And this will show what's going on with these particular employees on a given day and all the hours. And I can easily change my days by clicking the arrow next to today and choose a day to report on. I can also click today if I'm on a different day, and it'll take me right to the current day. Now the last one is my division work calendar, and this is a monthly view. So here you'll see it's a traditional monthly calendar, and you can see that when it says scheduled, I have the employee's name, so it shows exactly who's assigned to these entities. So you'll see that Will has a few appointments, I have a few tasks. As we scroll down, we'll be able to see all the dates within the monthly calendar. Now, the last thing I do want to go over are reports, but specifically how to export reports. So if I click the report tabs, we have multiple stock reports available for us to report on. So if I go to something as vendor purchasing, I can see exactly what we're purchasing for our vendors. Now with any stock report that we see here, we can click the gray arrow next to the magnifying glass. And from underneath that arrow, we have the export. So this will allow us to export in a CSV file, and we can print off the report as needed. Now with some reports, for instance, the balance sheet, if I view my balance sheet report, the export will be available, but now we have a PDF as well, so we can export to PDF. And most of our stock reports will have the export feature underneath that little arrow. Some reports, like the sales tax valuation report, if we click search, you'll note that the export is not underneath the gray arrow, but it's up here in this little hyperlink. And this will allow us to choose what we're going to export to. So by clicking the field Export to Selected Format, we can choose to export into a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, a rich text format, or a web archive. So for instance, if I click PDF and choose Export, this will download in my browser, and I can easily view or print that report. So with that, we will conclude our Business Academy session on tips and tricks for navigating business. I hope you learned some valuable information that you can use in your business system, and I'd like to thank you for attending our Business Academy. I'll now open about 5 to 10 minutes for any questions, and if you don't have any questions, please feel free to leave the Business Academy. And again, I'd like to thank you for your time and for attending the Business Academy today.